Hey everybody, hopefully y'all are having a great day so far. I wanted to make a couple videos today and split them out into a couple shorter videos instead of having one long, a little bit more rambling video. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the slightly shorter format. I know it's more digestible for me to be able to make the video and edit it, so hopefully it translates very well to y'all. So what I wanted to cover today was for the first one, a combination of what I have been doing recently in the mornings for my morning routine, as well talk about a concept of self-control, or what I now more better think of as integrity, and why my morning routine has been so important to me and kind of helping me figure out a lot of things. So this kind of all started because I kept weighing myself, right, since I've left college and, I'm no longer, an official collegiate athlete. And I've always weighed the same. So I was like, oh, wow, I'm doing a good job. I'm crushing it, staying the same, haven't gained weight, right? But then it kind of dawned on me that, well, if I'm the same weight and I've lost a significant amount of muscle mass, like I'm not the same jumper I used to be, I'm not drinking that much water. So really there can only be one way that I'm staying the same weight. And after buying a scale to kind of check body composition, I noticed that, sure enough, the muscle mass had gone down and my fat content had gone up. So this was a little bit of kind of like a jarring epiphany, if you will. I've always liked being in shape. I've always liked kind of maintaining physique. So I kind of made a vow to myself that, like, okay, I'm going to start losing weight. I'm going to start, kind of getting back on the right track as far as, what my long-term goal is of staying healthy. And it was kind of hard at first, I'm not going to lie. I for some reason, was falling short, wasn't really like living up to some of the promises that I made to myself. And I really couldn't figure out why. And then I've been reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that's, honestly, I didn't read it for a long time because I was like, oh man, it's such a meta book, like everybody's reading it. But I mean, there's a reason why that book is there. It's phenomenal. If you haven't read it already, I highly recommend it. I think probably some of the concepts that I cover in future videos will probably be implementing some of the things that he talks about in that book. So always recommend it. If I remember to, I'll put a link down in the description for the book on Amazon. So we'll see. But what I wanted to say from that was, I noticed that over time, I started to kind of fall into this habit of like breaking promises to myself, saying I want to draw and never drawing, or saying I want to do X and never doing X. So I was trying to figure out why that is. And then I came across this topic of integrity or self-integrity. And like over time of you saying you're going to do things and not doing them, you slowly start to lose trust in yourself. So much so that like you can almost start to just take yourself as a joke, right? You don't have a lot of self-integrity to maintain the things that you say you're going to do. And that can really mess with you, you kind of lose a sense of control, and you kind of start to go down this like path of, well, if I don't have the self-control, like the human psychology is to just blame others or blame external factors. So, if I'm not in control of my life, well, it's because I don't have time in my schedule, or if it's because I don't have time to cook, or it's too much, like I work too hard, whatever the case is, right? Like whatever my excuses were, they were just that, excuses. Reasons for why that rationale or why the lack of integrity wasn't my fault. But the reality of it is, like, you can do that the rest of your life, or you can kind of just own up to the lack of integrity that you've been maintaining and take steps to listen to that promise, listen to that self, and, kind of live up to what your word is. So I started out by pulling some knowledge that I got from the habit book. It's not Atomic Habits, it's the other one. Well, I'll remember that in a second. But there's another book on habits that I'm sure covers a lot of the same topics as Atomic Habits, but you can't create something out of nothing, right? Like you have to link actions to things that you already do on a day-to-day basis, right? So if you brush your teeth, linking flossing afterwards, it's kind of like a habit, right? Like you're tacking on new things to existing things, right? So the classic example was for Febreze, their number one product today was not always the number one product, right? It was actually one of their worst selling products. But what they did was, instead of branding it as an odor eliminator, they kind of marketed it as like what you do after you're done cleaning. So you clean and then you Febreze, right? And it built that habit cycle where people would clean and spray, and to the point where if they cleaned and didn't spray, it would feel like the house isn't as clean. So that subtle shift really made Febreze take off, right? So implementing that in my own life, I needed to think, okay, I need to, if I'm going to try and become a little bit more integrity driven, I need to maybe try and link these to some habits, right? So I figured probably a morning routine is going to be the best way to do it, right? Everybody wakes up, and people don't wake up one time. So I've continued to wake up, so figured that was a good enough thing. So in order to start this, I had to wake up a little bit earlier every day, which is hard to do initially because due to my lack of integrity, due to the lack of dopamine that I'm getting from myself, of the actions that I'm completing and getting things done in life that kind of produce value to me, because I'm not doing that, I'm relying on external factors to get that dopamine, right? So like if you're just like trying to rely on like scrolling, or if you're trying to rely on other things when you get home from work for those dopamine fixes, you get to this kind of like sorry, give me a second here. Okay. It's this concept of like sleep procrastination, where you feel like after a long day of work, you don't have enough time to yourself to recharge, right? So it was tough at first to like just force myself to go to bed early so that I could wake up early to do my workouts, but I eventually did it. And noticed that the self-gratification that I felt from doing the workout in the morning was like, it's actually good, you know? Like it kind of got me to a steady state where I felt like, okay, there's a purpose for me to kind of wake up, or at least go to sleep earlier, right? And I wasn't perfect right away. It took me like a few days at least to like start consistently going to bed. I did use melatonin, which is like good for kickstarting sleep. It doesn't keep you asleep, but it starts the sleep cycle. So you take that and you kind of wait for yourself to feel sleepy, and then you just listen to it and go to sleep. So what I will do is most mornings I will, and I say most just because Fridays I actually don't do this because I play volleyball in the afternoon. So I save my legs. But every morning I set my alarm for 5:48. And if I wake up a little bit beforehand, this was the hardest part. I don't snooze anymore. So if I naturally wake up because it's the end of one of my sleep cycles, I will just wake up and get up and go, right? Or I'll just kind of like lay in bed and, you know, kind of feed the beast and just kind of like scroll on Instagram or whatever the case is. But I'm out of bed by my 5:48. I'll wake up, I take off my shirt, I get on my scale, and I weigh myself. That's number one. Number two, I check the body composition. So that's kind of next in line. And then I'll document it in my Samsung Health app. From there, I will also take my blood pressure and then log that in my Samsung Health app. Usually that whole process, I also go to the bathroom before I do my weighing. Just take a little pee before I do it, give myself every extra edge I can to lose weight. But those three things will take me right around like 5-ish minutes to complete. So now from 5:48, I'm now up to 5:53. I'll toss my shirt back on. I'll lay out the night before my sweats and my sweater, and I'll just kind of put those on, put on my socks, put on my running shoes. I'll stretch for about maybe 5 minutes or so. Some like active leg swings. Try not to do like static stretching. I do dynamic stretching, which is like more movement based. So instead of like long 20-second stretches, you're doing like short, like 5-second stretch. And then I'm out the door. So from 5:48 to 6, right around. My run itself, what I do is I run around the block, kind of like by my train station and then back home, right? And that's the total lap is about 1.22 miles. So I just test myself on that run. You know, I do my best to run that as fast as possible. And then that's it, right? So the run itself, at first took me about 10 or 11 minutes. And now obviously getting in better shape, that's starting to go down a bit. But so now the total run takes me like 9 minutes flat. And I like downstairs for a little bit, and then I get back upstairs. So my whole morning routine takes me from 5:48 to about 6:10, right? So that is what, a 22-minute commitment, I guess, technically. Yeah. So normally what I was doing before, I would just wake up at 6 and snooze till 6:15 and then get ready. But now just like not snoozing the extra 12 minutes and getting up 12 minutes earlier, I'm now able to fit all of that in. And I do that every morning. And once I'm done, I get back, I jump in the shower, and I do like a hot shower to start, maybe for like a minute. And then I'll blast the cold water, like all the way to the left or all the way to the right, whatever way your cold water is, and just stay in there for a minute 35. Now, that one is citing some work that Huberman cited, where they said like 11 minutes per week of cold exposure and 57 minutes per week of sauna or hot water exposure led to like 200 or 300% increase in dopamine production or something like that. So 11 minutes, 35 seconds every day, Sunday to Sunday, gets you to about just over 11 minutes. So I do that every morning. And then, you know, obviously get dressed, get ready, get out the door, go to work, right? But that subtle change in my mornings has made me so happy. Like, I think understanding that whatever I do the rest of the day, even if I don't get a second workout in the afternoon, I did something in the morning. It takes a lot of the pressure off of the day. It takes a lot of that like guilt away from your afternoon as well. Like if you don't work out, you don't feel like, oh man, I didn't do anything like this morning. I didn't do anything yesterday as well. So you feel that guilt, and then you start to feel like, oh man, like maybe I should just like scroll, you know, like feel better, right? I don't get that sensation anymore, which is really cool. I'm really happy with that. And then obviously, you know, you get the added bonus of, you know, your physique changes. And then I've been coupling that with just like eating meat salads throughout the week for lunch and dinner, and then a protein shake in the morning. So yeah, that's it's done a huge service to me. It's boosted my integrity. I can trust a lot of the things that I say I'm going to do now. And it's nice. It really is a huge value add to my life. And now to take in like different endeavors, I do so with a lot more integrity. I really have started to not use the word self-control anymore, because I think integrity is just a better way to say it. You know, it's not like, it's not fighting off like the will to not do it. It's just like, I told myself I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, right? Like, because if you try and fight off the desire to not do it, you're constantly fighting an uphill battle of like, oh man, it's cold, it's this, it's that. But like, why think about it? You know, you just do the run, you know? So anyways, that's kind of what I've been doing in the mornings. I hope that provides a little bit of context for people out there who like watch the YouTube videos where they see the Giga Chad that works out for like, you know, 3 hours in the morning and then does like a 12 raw egg smoothie. Nah, I don't know. Just do something, you know, like commit to something and just do it. And you're going to notice like a whole lot of improvement in the minutia of your day-to-day life. At least I have. And I hope that after trying it, you do too. So anyways, hopefully this was helpful to some people, enlightening to others. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video.